March 12, 1943. U-Boat Command Headquarters, Lorient, France. Korvettenkapitän Heinrich Müller spread the reconnaissance photographs across the plotting table, his weathered hands moving with practiced contempt. A veteran of 43 successful patrols with 31 confirmed kills totaling 187,000 tons, Müller studied the convoy formation and smiled. "Look at this," Müller said, tapping the photograph with a thick finger. British send merchant ships in clusters like sheep, protected by obsolete corvettes with depth charges that cannot reach us. Captain Lieutenant Franz Weber, commander of U-57 with 19 kills, leaned forward and nodded. "Their depth charges must pass directly over us to detonate. We dive below their pattern and surface behind them. They waste hundreds of charges while we reload." Oberleutnant Zur C. Karl Hoffmann, U-Boat Command's intelligence analyst, shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, there are reports from the North Atlantic of new forward-throwing weapons. U-432 reported unusual detonation patterns before they went silent." But Müller waved him off. "U-432 probably hit a mine. We have sunk 1,006 Allied vessels in the past 18 months. Their losses average 67 ships monthly. Our kill ratio stands at 8-3-1. At Convoy SC-107, we destroyed 15 merchantmen for 0 losses. At Convoy ON-166, 14 ships sunk, 1 U-boat damaged. At Convoy SC-118, 13 vessels destroyed, 3 U-boats lost, but 16 Allied escorts damaged." The mathematics were undeniable. British anti-submarine weapons required the attacking vessel to pass over the submarine, giving U-boats ample time to dive deep or maneuver away. What Müller didn't know, what none of them could have known as they planned the attack on Convoy HX-229 in that concrete bunker, was that the British Hedgehog would sink 5 U-boats in 72 hours. The numbers would become catastrophic. 5 U-boats destroyed versus 0 merchant ships lost. 247 German submariners killed. 0 tons of Allied shipping sunk. The confident laughter in that planning room would become history's most expensive miscalculation, measured in 247 German lives and the turning point of the Battle of the Atlantic. Müller had earned his confidence through blood and mathematics. At Convoy SC-7 in October 1940, his U-boat contributed to the destruction of 20 merchant ships totaling 79,592 tons over 4 days. The convoy's 35 merchantmen had been escorted by only 2 destroyers and 2 corvettes. The Wolfpack tactics delivered a kill ratio of 20-0. At Convoy HX-79, 12 ships sunk, 75,069 tons, 0 U-boat losses. At Convoy SC-42, 16 ships destroyed, 73,000 tons, 2 U-boats damaged, but both returned to base. His own U-201 mounted a 10.5 cm deck gun, 14 torpedoes in G7E electric configuration with 7,500-meter range at 30 knots, and could dive to 220 meters operational depth, 250 meters crush depth. The Type VIIC displaced 769 tons surfaced, 871 tons submerged, carried 44 men, and achieved 17.7 knots surfaced, 7.6 knots submerged. British anti-submarine performance validated German confidence. At Convoy PQ-17 in July 1942, 24 of 35 merchant ships were destroyed, though primarily by aircraft and surface vessels. The Royal Navy's depth charge attacks throughout 1942 achieved an 8.7% kill rate. Of 1,160 depth charge attacks on U-boats that year, only 87 resulted in confirmed kills, 14 in probable kills, and 51 in damage forcing return to base. The standard British depth charge, the Mark VII, contained 290 pounds of Torpex explosive and required detonation within 20 feet of the pressure hull to guarantee destruction. Since depth charges were rolled off the stern or projected to the sides, attacking vessels had to pass directly over the estimated submarine position. U-boats routinely dove to 150 meters and turned sharply, making accurate placement nearly impossible. Müller's personal record reinforced his certainty. In 39 months of operations, he had survived 127 depth charge attacks. His tactics were simple. Upon detection, dive to 180 meters, reduce speed to minimize noise, and wait. British escorts would pass overhead, dropping patterns of 10 to 14 charges set to detonate at various depths. The explosions would rock the U-boat, sometimes shattering light bulbs or cracking valve gaskets, but never penetrating the pressure hull. Once the escorts moved on, Mueller would creep away at 4 knots, eventually surfacing at night to recharge batteries and continue hunting. In his last patrol, he endured a 9-hour depth charge attack involving an estimated 180 charges. His U-boat suffered minor damage to the hydrophone array and a cracked compass mount. 2 hours after the attack ended, he surfaced, made repairs, and sank a 7,200-ton freighter the next morning. Oberlieutenant Hoffman gathered intelligence reports and approached Mueller's plotting table. "Sir, U-432, U-606, and U-757 all reported unusual weapon detonations in their final transmissions. The weapons appeared to detonate on contact ahead of the attacking escort, not beneath them after the escort passed." Hoffman spread 3 decoded fragments across photographs of convoy routes. U-606's last transmission, multiple forward detonations, hull breach forward torpedo room. U-757 reported, new weapon, pattern of 24 projectiles ahead of escort. These reports suggest a forward-throwing weapon that eliminates our diving advantage. But Mueller barely glanced at the documents. Coincidence or mines, we have perfected the Wolfpack. We coordinate 12 U-boats against a convoy, attack simultaneously from multiple bearings, overwhelm the escorts. At Convoy SC-1-7, 12 U-boats destroyed 15 merchantmen in 3 days. The British fired an estimated 450 depth charges. 0 U-boats sunk. Mueller closed Hoffman's folder. The British lack the industrial capacity to deploy new weapons fleet-wide, and their doctrine remains unchanged. Chase, pass over, drop charges, hope for luck. Lieutenant Sir C. Paul Richter, commander of U-523 and veteran of 17 patrols, stood with Mueller reviewing convoy projections. Richter had witnessed British anti-submarine tactics firsthand during a 14-hour hunt following his attack on Convoy on 154. "They dropped 210 charges around my boat. I counted every detonation. Some came close enough to knock crewmen off their feet, crack pipes, shatter the torpedo aiming computer's glass face. But the hull held. At 180 meters depth, even a charge detonating 30 feet away only dents external plating. To kill a type VIIC, they need a charge within 15 feet, and the boat must be at shallow depth where the pressure differential assists the explosive force. They have never achieved this with depth charges alone." Richter lit a cigarette and studied the charts. "Every convoy follows the same pattern, merchant ships in columns, escorts on the perimeter. We penetrate between escorts at night on the surface where we're faster, dive to attack, fire torpedoes from 1,500 meters and go deep before they respond. By the time escorts arrive, we're at 150 meters moving away. Their ASDIC gives bearing but not precise depth. They guess. We live." The mathematics seemed irrefutable. Liverpool, England, January 1943. Lieutenant Commander Charles Rowley stood in the weapons testing facility at HMS Osprey, watching technicians load the 1,000th Hedgehog spigot mortar assembly of the day. The Liverpool facility produced 73 complete Hedgehog systems daily. Every 19.7 minutes, another system rolled off the assembly line, complete with 24 spigots, traversing mechanism, firing circuits, and safety interlocks. In September 1940, Britain produced just 6 Hedgehog systems monthly. Royal Navy Arsenal at Woolwich and contracted facilities at Birmingham, Manchester, and Glasgow combined output reached 42 systems by December 1940. By March 1941, production reached 186 monthly as manufacturing processes improved and subcontractor networks expanded. By June 1941, Liverpool's single facility was producing 2,190 systems monthly. By December 1941, daily production hit 73 units. By February 1943, this single facility was producing more Hedgehog systems than the entire German U-boat force carried torpedo tubes. Germany's 238 operational U-boats in February 1943 mounted 5 torpedo tubes each, totaling 1,190 tubes. Liverpool's February production of 2,044 Hedgehog systems, each with 24 spigots, provided 49,056 individual projectile launch points, 42 times Germany's entire torpedo tube capacity. Margaret Collins, previously a seamstress at Manchester Textiles producing 23 garments daily, now operated the spigot mortar welding station producing 876 individual spigots every 8-hour shift. Each spigot, a steel tube 22 inches long weighing 9.7 pounds, required 11 precision welds joining the barrel to the mounting plate and safety collar. Collins completed one spigot every 32.9 seconds. Her single station's daily output of 876 spigots equipped 36.5 complete Hedgehog systems. Germany's entire U-boat construction program in February 1943 produced 17 new submarines. Collins's welding station produced enough spigots daily to equip more than twice as many Hedgehog systems as Germany produced U-boats monthly. She produced more anti-submarine weapon components in one shift than Germany's entire naval infrastructure, dedicated to submarine construction, produced submarines in 30 days. James Washington, from Detroit, Michigan, operating on loan from the United States Navy, managed the explosive charge production line that produced 31,680 Hedgehog projectile warheads daily. Each projectile contained 35 pounds of Torpex explosive, more powerful pound for pound than TNT. The warheads left his production line at a rate of 1 every 2.47 seconds. His single station's daily output exceeded the entire German monthly allocation of Torpex to U-boat torpedo warheads. Germany produced approximately 420 torpedoes monthly in early 1943. At 617 pounds of explosive per torpedo, German monthly Torpex allocation totaled 259,140 pounds. Washington's line produced 1,108,800 pounds of Torpex daily in Hedgehog projectiles alone, 4.28 times Germany's total monthly torpedo explosive allocation. His single production line's output in 6.5 days exceeded Germany's total monthly production. Sir Frederick Mills, $1-a-year man from Imperial Chemical Industries, managed the Torpex chemistry operation. ICI's wartime explosive production reached 847 tons daily across all facilities. The Hedgehog projectile production consumed 15.8 tons daily, less than 2% of total explosive output. The remaining capacity supplied depth charges, aerial bombs, artillery shells, landmines, demolition charges, and torpedo warheads for multiple Allied nations. A single ICI facility at Ardere, Scotland, produced 127 tons of Torpex daily, enough to manufacture 7,238 Hedgehog projectiles, 301.5 complete salvos. Germany's largest explosive production facility at IG Farben's Ludwigshafen plant produced an estimated 73 tons daily of all explosives combined, including artillery propellants, aerial bombs, and naval mines. Americans discarded 3,840 defective Hedgehog projectiles daily from quality control rejections. Germany allocated 2,100 submarine-launched torpedoes monthly to its entire U-boat fleet. The American quality control rejection rate, projectiles that failed to meet specifications and were melted down for reprocessing, exceeded Germany's total monthly torpedo allocation in 1.8 days. The waste from single-shift quality control exceeded enemy's total capacity. Workers threw away aluminum. Shavings from spigot mortar production that Germany rationed by the gram for aircraft construction. Daily aluminum waste from the Liverpool facility totaled 840 pounds. Germany's monthly aluminum allocation to U-boat construction for diving plane actuators, periscope housings, and electrical fixtures totaled approximately 2,900 pounds across all operational boats. Liverpool's aluminum waste in 3.45 days exceeded Germany's monthly U-boat aluminum allocation. The cafeteria at HMS Osprey discarded more beef daily than German U-boat crews received monthly. Cafeteria waste averaged 340 pounds of meat daily, feeding 2,190 workers 3 meals. U-boat rations allocated 0.73 pounds of meat per man per week. With 238 operational boats averaging 44 crew each, total weekly meat allocation reached 7,632 pounds, or 1,090 pounds daily. HMS Osprey's cafeteria discarded 31% of what Germany allocated to its entire submarine force. Steel scrap from rejected spigot mortar forgings totaled 1,240 pounds daily. This metal, remelted and reprocessed, represented material rejected for minor imperfections in surface finish or dimensional tolerance. Germany allocated approximately 420 tons of steel monthly to new U-boat construction, or 30,857 pounds daily across all shipyards. Liverpool's rejected components, representing quality control failures, equaled 4% of Germany's total daily steel allocation to submarine construction. The electrical wiring discarded from Hedgehog firing circuit production exceeded Germany's monthly allocation to U-boat electrical systems. Each Hedgehog system required 47 feet of specialized firing cable. Quality control rejected approximately 12% of produced cable for insulation defects, crimp failures, or conductor breaks. Daily cable waste totaled 3,950 feet. A Type VIIC U-boat contained approximately 12,400 feet of electrical wiring for all systems. Germany's 17 monthly U-boat completions required 210,800 feet of marine-grade cable. Liverpool's cable waste reached this total in 53.3 days, meaning rejected firing cable alone could rewire Germany's entire monthly submarine production 1.88 times. Oberleutnant Hoffmann appeared again in Muller's planning room with production estimates. "Sir, intelligence indicates British Hedgehog production has reached industrial scale. Estimates suggest 2,000 systems monthly, each capable of launching 24 projectiles in a forward pattern. If accurate, the British are deploying forward-throwing weapons that eliminate our diving defense." Hoffmann placed a diagram on the table showing Hedgehog's firing pattern. 24 projectiles launched ahead of the attacking vessel in an elliptical pattern 130 feet wide and 180 feet long. The projectiles sink at 23 feet per second and detonate only on contact with a solid object. The entire pattern reaches 200 feet depth in 8.7 seconds. Our diving rate is 3 feet per second. We cannot dive below the pattern before it reaches attack depth. But Muller studied his kill statistics instead. The mathematics of industrial production seemed less real than the mathematics of sunken tonnage. April 8, 1943, North Atlantic, 52 degrees 14 N, 29 degrees 47 W, 3:12 hours. Lieutenant Paul Richter commanded U-523 at periscope depth, watching corvette HMS Sunflower conducting a routine patrol sweep ahead of convoy HX-229's formation. The convoy's 39 merchant ships steamed in 9 columns, escorts positioned on flanks and stern. Richter had positioned U-523 ahead of the convoy track, waiting for the escorts to pass so he could surface and attack the merchant ships directly. Standard tactics: let the escort pass, surface behind it, attack merchantmen before escorts can reverse course. At 3:12 hours, HMS Sunflower passed within 1,400 yards of U-523's position, its ASDIC pinging steadily. At 3:14 hours, Richter ordered, "Prepare to surface," and began rising to 40 meters, ready to break surface once Sunflower moved beyond effective ASDIC range. At 3:14 hours 22 seconds, something unprecedented occurred. HMS Sunflower did not pass overhead. Instead, at 1,200 yards and closing, 24 projectiles launched forward from the corvette's forecastle in a rippling salvo lasting 2.3 seconds. The launch created minimal noise, nothing like the explosive depth charge detonation that gave U-boat crews warning. Richter's hydrophone operator reported unknown splashes ahead at 0314-28. The projectiles, each weighing 65 pounds with a 35-pound Torpex warhead, arced forward 250 yards and plunged into the water in an elliptical pattern 130 feet wide, 180 feet long, centered on U-523's projected position. The 24 projectiles sank at 23 feet per second. U-523, at 40 meters depth and still rising towards surface, lay directly in the pattern's center. At 0314-37, 9 seconds after launch, 3 projectiles struck U-523's pressure hull simultaneously. The contact fuse detonators exploded 105 pounds of Torpex against the forward torpedo room, control room, and diesel compartment. Elapsed time from HMS Sunflower's launch to U-523's destruction, 15 seconds. Kill time, 15 seconds. At 0314-37, U-523 destroyed. Kill time, 15 seconds. The pressure hull ruptured in 3 locations. Atlantic water at 40 meters depth, 58 pounds per square inch, burst through breaches in the forward torpedo room and control room. The compartments flooded in 4.2 seconds. 44 German submariners died in the next 38 seconds as the submarine plunged to 680 feet and imploded. Richter, in the conning tower, survived long enough to realize the corvette had never passed overhead. The weapon had struck while still ahead of them. Total engagement duration, 0 minutes 15 seconds. Enemy losses, 1 U-boat, 44 submariners. British losses, 0. Kill ratio, 1-0. Ammunition expended, 24 Hedgehog projectiles containing 840 pounds of Torpex. Germany allocated approximately 21,000 pounds of Torpex monthly to its U-boat fleet for all torpedo warheads. HMS Sunflower's single 15-second engagement consumed 4% of Germany's daily allocation to the entire submarine force. Korvettenkapitän Müller received the report at 8:40 hours from U-boat command. U-523 failed to report position update. Last transmission 3:10 hours indicated approach to convoy HX-229. Presumed lost. The report included hydrophone recordings from U-boat hydrophone networks. Unusual splashing sounds at 3:14 hours, followed by multiple detonations and breaking up noises consistent with rapid pressure hull failure. Müller read the transcript and filed it with the 12 other such reports from the past 3 weeks. Coincidence, he decided. Perhaps U-523 had hit a mine or suffered mechanical failure. British escorts still relied primarily on depth charges. The mathematics of depth charge ineffectiveness remained unchanged. At U-boat command headquarters, Hoffman compiled the incident reports. In the 3 weeks since March 18, 13 U-boats had been lost in the North Atlantic with similar circumstances. Approach to convoy, loss of contact, breaking up noises, no survivors. Traditional depth charge attacks produced lengthy engagements with hundreds of charges expended over hours. These new losses showed rapid destruction with minimal warning. Sir, Hoffman addressed Admiral Karl Dönitz, the pattern suggests deployment of the forward-throwing weapon on a significant percentage of escort vessels. If the British have equipped even 30% of their escorts, our diving defense becomes ineffective. But Dönitz reviewed monthly kill statistics. 108 Allied ships sunk in March totaling 627,000 tons. The losses, while concerning, hadn't yet affected the campaign's overall mathematics. Intelligence confirmed Hoffman's fears, but command dismissed the implications. Reports from neutral Portugal indicated British shipyards had retrofitted 89 corvettes and destroyers with Hedgehog systems between December 1942 and March 1943. Photographic reconnaissance of Liverpool showed large-scale production facilities. Interrogation of a captured British sailor from HMS Starling confirmed the weapon's specifications. 24 projectiles, 250-yard range, forward-throwing contact detonation. The weapon eliminates the escorts' need to pass over us, Hoffman reported. They can attack from ahead, maintaining ASDIC contact throughout the engagement. The projectiles sink faster than we can dive. Mathematics now favor the escorts. British production reached its crescendo. By April 1943, combined facilities produced 2,847 Hedgehog systems monthly. Every 15.3 minutes, another system completed assembly. Each system required 24 spigot mortars, 1 traversing gear, 1 firing control panel, and installation hardware. The supply chain involved 47 subcontractors across England, Scotland, and Wales. Steel came from Sheffield, aluminum from Manchester, explosives from Scotland, electrical components from Birmingham, assembly in Liverpool, and final testing at Portsmouth. American production supplemented British output. Under Lend-Lease, United States factories produced Hedgehog systems at New York Navy Yard, Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, and Mare Island. Combined American production added 1,240 systems monthly. Total Allied Hedgehog production in April 1943, 4,087 systems, enough to equip 4,087 escort vessels, or retrofit the entire Royal Navy escort force 3.2 times over. April 9, 1943, North Atlantic, 51 degrees 43 N, 28 degrees 12 W, 14:45 hours. Contact bearing 287, range 2,400 yards. HMS Pelican's ASDIC operator called out the U-boat position with practiced precision. Captain Lieutenant Weber commanded U-507, stalking convoy HX-229's starboard flank. He had detected the escort's approach and begun emergency dive procedure at 14:43 hours. Standard tactics: dive to 150 meters, evade. At 1,445, 12, Pelican launched Hedgehog salvo at 1,800 yards while maintaining ASDIC contact. At 1,445, 18, 24 projectiles struck water ahead of U-507's position. At 1,445.27, U-507 had reached 48 meters depth, diving at 3.1 feet per second. At 1,445.27, 5 Hedgehog projectiles struck the pressure hull across the control room and aft torpedo room. Elapsed time from launch to destruction, 15 seconds. Kill time, 15 seconds. At 1,445.27, U-507 destroyed. Kill time, 15 seconds. The hull breached in 2 locations. 46 submariners died in the next 41 seconds as water pressure crushed internal compartments. Weber died in the control room, reaching for the ballast blow lever that might have saved them had there been time. 23 minutes later, at 15:08 hours, HMS Mignonette detected U-614 at 3,100 yards. The German submarine, alerted by U-507's destruction, attempted evasive maneuvering while diving. At 1,509.31, Mignonette launched Hedgehog. At 1,509.44, U-614 destroyed. Kill time, 13 seconds. 44 submariners died. At 15:30 hours, HMS Snapdragon detected U-376 attempting to withdraw from the convoy area. Hedgehog launch at 1,531.08. U-376 destroyed at 1,531.24. Kill time, 16 seconds. 47 submariners died. Total engagement duration for 3 U-boats, 2 hours, 45 minutes including search time. Actual combat duration, 44 seconds total. Enemy losses, 3 U-boats, 137 submariners. British losses, 0. Kill ratio, 3-0. Ammunition expended, 72 Hedgehog projectiles containing 2,520 pounds of Torpex. This single afternoon's engagement consumed the equivalent of 12 days' worth of Germany's entire U-boat force Torpex allocation. Fuel consumed by the 3 British escorts during the engagement, 1,847 gallons of fuel oil. Germany allocated approximately 140,000 gallons monthly to its U-boat fleet for all operations. The 3 escorts consumed 1.3% of Germany's monthly U-boat fuel allocation in one afternoon's operations. The escorts refueled from Royal Fleet auxiliary tankers the next day. Germany's fuel situation deteriorated daily as Allied bombing targeted refineries and synthetic fuel plants. Hoffman reached Mueller's bunker at 21:30 hours with the afternoon's casualty reports. "Sir, we've lost 4 U-boats today. U-523 this morning, U-507, U-614, and U-376 this afternoon. All in the HX-229 convoy area. All with identical attack profiles. Rapid destruction, minimal warning, no survivors. We must acknowledge the British weapon." Hoffman spread reconnaissance photographs showing Hedgehog installations on 17 visible escorts. "This weapon changes the engagement mathematics. We can no longer dive to safety." Mueller stood at the plotting table, staring at position markers for 23 U-boats lost in April. The Wolfpack tactics that had devastated Allied shipping for 3 years suddenly faced a countermeasure that negated submarine advantages. "Impossible," Mueller said, his voice lacking its previous confidence. 4 boats in one day. We have 237 operational boats. Even with these losses, we maintain numerical superiority. But the statistics showed alarming trends. April 1943, 23 U-boats lost, 67 Allied ships sunk. Kill ratio declining to 2:9:1. January 1943, 8 U-boats lost, 43 ships sunk, ratio 5:4:1. The mathematics were shifting against them. They tried diving deeper, to 200 meters where Hedgehog projectiles would theoretically fall short. The British adjusted their firing solution calculations, leading the target's projected position by an additional 90 feet. U-boats destroyed at depth. They attempted surfacing immediately upon Hedgehog detection, theorizing the projectiles would pass beneath them. The escorts fired second salvos while U-boats were surfacing, catching them at vulnerable shallow depth with ballast tanks blown, unable to maneuver. U-boats destroyed while surfacing. They tried high-speed evasive maneuvers while submerged, zigging at 7-knot maximum submerged speed. The Hedgehog's elliptical pattern, 130 feet by 180 feet, covered too much area. U-boats destroyed while evading. They attempted attacking at night on the surface, using superior surface speed to penetrate escort screens. British escorts equipped with radar detected surfaced U-boats at 8,000 yards and closed for Hedgehog attacks before U-boats could dive. U-boats destroyed on surface at night. April 10, 1943, North Atlantic, 52 degrees 06 N, 29 degrees 15 W, 2:30 hours. Korvetenkapitän Heinrich Müller personally commanded U-201 in an attack on convoy HX-229, determined to prove Wolfpack tactics still worked. 18 U-boats coordinated their approach, planning simultaneous attacks from multiple bearings to overwhelm the escorts. Müller positioned U-201 ahead of the convoy, waiting at 60 meters depth. At 0230, 7 British escorts detected multiple ASDIC contacts. At 0230, 15 HMS Duncan launched Hedgehog at U-621, range 2,100 yards. At 0230, 29 U-621 destroyed. Kill time 14 seconds, 43 submariners died. At 0230, 47 HMS Vidette launched at U-359. At 0231, 01 U-359 destroyed. Kill time 14 seconds, 46 submariners died. At 0231, 22 HMS Sunflower detected Müller's U-201 at 2,400 yards bearing 73. Müller ordered emergency deep dive, attempting to reach 180 meters. At 0231, 38 Sunflower launched Hedgehog at 1,900 yards. At 0231, 51 U-201 had reached 67 meters depth. At 0231, 51 4 Hedgehog projectiles struck the pressure hull across the conning tower and forward torpedo room. Elapsed time from launch to destruction, 13 seconds. Kill time, 13 seconds. At 0231, 51, Korvetenkapitän Heinrich Müller died instantly as the conning tower breach admitted 73 pounds per square inch water pressure. The conning tower collapsed in 1.2 seconds. The forward torpedo room flooded in 3.8 seconds. The control room flooded in 6.1 seconds. 44 submariners died in the next 29 seconds as U-201 exceeded crushed depth and imploded at 710 feet. Elapsed time from initial ASDIC contact to complete destruction, 29 seconds. The engagement continued. At 0232, 14 HMS Mignonette launched at U-530. Kill time 15 seconds. At 023305 HMS Pelican launched at U-415. Kill time 16 seconds. At 0233 51 HMS Duncan launched second salvo at U-706. Kill time 14 seconds. In 4 minutes of combat, 6 U-boats destroyed. 267 German submariners died. 0 British casualties. 0 merchant ships damaged. Total engagement duration, 4 minutes 0 seconds. Enemy losses, 6 U-boats, 267 submariners. British losses, 0. Kill ratio, 6-0. Ammunition expended, 144 Hedgehog projectiles containing 5,040 pounds of Torpex. Germany allocated approximately 697 pounds of Torpex daily to its entire U-boat fleet for torpedo warheads. This single 4-minute engagement consumed 7.2 days of Germany's daily allocation. This wasn't combat. This was systematic annihilation. German post-action reports from surviving U-boats described impossible accuracy and weapons that struck before we could dive. Of the 18 U-boats that attempted coordinated attack on convoy HX-229 during April 8-10, 7 were destroyed, 4 severely damaged and forced to abort, 3 withdrew without engaging, and 4 attempted unsuccessful attacks that failed to sink any merchant ships. The convoy reached Liverpool on April 14 with 39 merchantmen intact, 0 losses. The Wolfpack tactics that had terrorized the Atlantic for 3 years had been rendered obsolete in 72 hours. Oberleutnant Hoffmann survived because he was ashore during the attack, analyzing intelligence reports. He watched plotting boards track U-boat positions until they went silent. 7 red markers disappeared in 3 days. "The mathematics have reversed," he told Admiral Dönitz on April 11. "In January, we sank 5.4 ships per U-boat lost. In April, we're losing 0.34 U-boats per ship sunk. The ratio has reversed by a factor of 16. May 1943, Mondorf-les-Bains, Luxembourg, POW Interrogation Center. Oberleutnant Zur C. Karl Hoffmann sat across from British naval intelligence officers. The remains of his career plotted on casualty reports spread across the table. He had survived U-201's destruction only because he was ashore when Müller sailed. His testimony came slowly, each sentence an admission of catastrophic defeat. We were not defeated by better soldiers, but by better factories. British Hedgehog production reached 2,847 systems monthly by April 1943. Germany's entire U-boat construction program produced 17 submarines monthly. A single British factory produced more anti-submarine weapons than our entire maritime industry produced submarines. You built weapons faster than we could build targets. Hoffman's hands trembled slightly as he continued. I compiled the production statistics in March. Britain produced 68,328 Hedgehog projectiles daily. Each projectile contained 35 pounds of Torpex. Daily production, 2,391,480 pounds of Torpex in Hedgehog ammunition alone. Germany allocated 259,140 pounds monthly, 8,638 pounds daily, to all torpedo warheads for our entire U-boat fleet. Britain's Hedgehog production consumed 277 times more explosive daily than Germany allocated to submarine torpedoes. Your waste exceeded our maximum effort. The mathematics became absurd, Hoffman said. In February 1943, Britain's Liverpool facility alone produced 2,044 Hedgehog systems. Each system had 24 spigots. Total launch capacity, 49,056 projectiles. Germany's 238 operational U-boats carried 5 torpedo tubes each, total capacity 1,190 torpedoes loaded. Britain's single facility monthly production provided 42 times more launch capacity than Germany's entire submarine fleet. You didn't just outproduce us, you revolutionized production itself. Lieutenant Hans Becker, sole survivor of U-614's destruction, provided technical testimony. I was in the aft torpedo room when the projectile struck. No warning. The hydrophone operator reported splashes, then instant detonation. The hull breached in 2 locations simultaneously. Water pressure at 48 meters depth flooded the control room in less than 4 seconds. I survived because the aft compartment hatch sealed automatically, trapping me in a flooding compartment that rose to the surface as buoyancy from compressed air tanks forced us up. 43 crewmates died. I floated in the Atlantic for 6 hours before HMS Mignonette recovered me. Becker described the tactical impossibility. We brought 1940s tactics to 1943 warfare. Our diving defense assumed the escort must pass overhead. Hedgehog attacked from ahead while maintaining ASDIC contact. Our evasive maneuvers assumed depth charge patterns fell behind the escort's track. Hedgehog landed ahead of the escort's position, centered on our projected location. We trained to evade slow-falling depth charges. Hedgehog projectiles sank at 23 feet per second, faster than we could dive. The mathematics were reversed. They could strike us before we could reach safety depth. Oberbootsman Franz Klein, survivor of U-530, described industrial disparity. I served on 7 patrols. Each patrol we carried 14 torpedoes. Each torpedo represented significant industrial effort, precision machining, gyroscope assembly, electric motor batteries, 617 pounds of explosive. We rationed them carefully, fired only when confident of hits. The British fired Hedgehogs in 24 projectile salvos every time they detected us. They could lose 23 projectiles to get 1 hit and still maintain the engagement tempo. Their excess capacity exceeded our maximum effort. We couldn't waste ammunition. They could afford to overwhelm us with volume. They could lose 6 escorts to kill 1 U-boat and still maintain convoy protection, Klein continued. We needed 8 1-kill ratios just to sustain the campaign. By April 1943, the ratio had reversed to, they could replace losses faster than we could inflict them. A single American shipyard launched more escorts monthly than we could sink. German U-boat construction provided 17 new boats monthly. Allied air and surface forces were destroying 25 monthly by May 1943. Simple mathematics, we couldn't replace losses. They could absorb casualties indefinitely. Additional testimonies reinforced the production disparity theme. We brought swords to a machine gun fight, said one captured officer. Their excess capacity exceeded our maximum effort, said another. They could lose 300 Hedgehog projectiles and replace them overnight. We lost 1 U-boat, and its replacement took 4 months to build and 3 months to train the crew. The mathematics were impossible. Hoffman provided final production statistics based on intelligence gathered before capture. American production, 2,847 Hedgehog systems monthly. British production, 1,240 systems monthly. Combined Allied production, 4,087 monthly. Single Liverpool facility, 2,044 monthly. Entire German U-boat industry, 17 submarines monthly. Single British factory produced 120 times more anti-submarine systems than Germany produced submarines. The industrial disparity made tactical excellence irrelevant. We couldn't outfight production capacity of that magnitude. At HMS Osprey in Liverpool, the production lines operated continuously. Day shift, evening shift, night shift. Margaret Collins welded spigot mortars at 32.9-second intervals. James Washington's explosive charge line produced one warhead every 2.47 seconds. The cafeteria discarded 340 pounds of meat daily. Aluminum shavings filled waste bins. Rejected electrical cable piled in scrap yards awaiting reprocessing. The waste from quality control exceeded Germany's allocation to frontline weapons. Americans discarded more aluminum daily than Germany allocated weekly to U-boat construction. Workers threw away steel rejected for minor surface imperfections that represented more metal than Germany used for submarine periscope assemblies. The cafeteria at HMS Osprey served meals that contained more calories than German U-boat crews received in combat rations. Britain's industrial abundance buried Germany's military precision under sheer overwhelming productive capacity. The Hedgehog proved that democratic industrial systems could outproduce authoritarian command economies through superior organization, worker motivation, and technological innovation. Free workers outproduced slaves. Democratic cooperation exceeded totalitarian command. Industrial abundance buried ideological superiority under the simple mathematics of overwhelming material advantage. Britain and America didn't defeat U-boats through tactical brilliance alone. They defeated them through production capacity so vast that German submariners drowned under avalanches of weapons manufactured faster than they could be employed. March 12, 1943. Heinrich Müller had laughed at British anti-submarine efforts, confident that depth charges couldn't kill U-boats fast enough. April 10, 1943. Müller died in 13 seconds when 4 Hedgehog projectiles struck his submarine before he could reach safety depth. His entire crew of 44 submariners perished in 29 seconds. Their mockery became history's most expensive miscalculation, measured in 267 German lives lost in 72 hours, and the Battle of the Atlantic's turning point that sealed Germany's eventual defeat. The Wolfpacks that had nearly severed Britain's Atlantic lifeline were systematically annihilated by a simple forward-throwing mortar that cost less than 1 torpedo to manufacture, but struck faster than submarines could dive. July 1943, Bletchley Park, England. British cryptanalysts decoded the final operational statistics from U-boat command. May 1943, 41 U-boats lost, 34 Allied ships sunk. June 1943, 17 U-boats lost, 17 Allied ships sunk. Kill ratio collapsed to 1:1, then inverted. For every merchant ship Germany sank, the Kriegsmarine lost 1 submarine. Admiral Karl Dönitz withdrew U-boats from the North Atlantic on May 24, 1943, admitting temporary defeat. The withdrawal became permanent. The Battle of the Atlantic, which nearly severed Britain's lifeline and could have forced British surrender, ended because forward-throwing mortars manufactured in Liverpool destroyed submarines faster than German shipyards could replace them. The production statistics told the complete story. Between December 1942 and May 1943, Allied shipyards equipped 412 escort vessels with Hedgehog systems. Germany operated 237 U-boats in May 1943. The British had deployed 1.74 Hedgehog-equipped escorts for every operational U-boat. Each escort carried 240 Hedgehog projectiles in ready storage, with reloads available from depot ships. Total Hedgehog projectiles available to the Atlantic Fleet: 98,880 rounds containing 3,460,800 pounds of Torpex. Germany's entire U-boat fleet carried 3,318 torpedoes in May 1943, containing 2,047,106 pounds of explosive. Allied anti-submarine ammunition exceeded German submarine offensive capacity by 169:1. The mathematics were simple. Britain had more projectiles to throw at U-boats than U-boats had torpedoes to fire at merchant ships. Oberleutnant Karl Hoffmann, now prisoner of war at Camp 184 in Sheffield, worked in the camp library organizing technical documents. British intelligence officers allowed him access to production records, knowing the information would reach German intelligence through camp communications. Let them know, the British reasoned. Let them understand the industrial chasm they faced. Hoffman compiled the data methodically, each statistic another nail in the Third Reich's coffin. Liverpool's Hedgehog facility reached peak production in June 1943. 2,847 systems monthly, 94.9 daily, one complete system every 15.2 minutes. The facility operated 3 shifts employing 3,170 workers. Each worker produced, on average, 0.898 Hedgehog systems monthly. Germany's U-boat construction employed 47,000 workers across 5 shipyards, producing 17 submarines monthly. Each German worker produced 0.00036 submarines monthly. British productivity per worker exceeded German productivity per worker by 494, 1 in anti-submarine weapons versus submarine production. 1 British Hedgehog worker's output neutralized the work of 2,494 German U-boat construction workers. Waste comparisons haunted Hoffman's analysis. Liverpool's aluminum scrap exceeded Germany's monthly allocation to U-boat construction by factors that made mockery of German rationing. Daily aluminum waste at Liverpool, 840 pounds from machining spigot mortars, traverse gears, and mounting brackets. Monthly waste, 25,200 pounds. Germany's monthly aluminum allocation to U-boat construction, 2,900 pounds for all 17 submarines. Liverpool's waste in 3.45 days exceeded Germany's total monthly allocation. Britain threw away more aluminum than Germany could allocate to its entire submarine program. Steel waste told the same story. Liverpool rejected 1,240 pounds of steel daily for minor imperfections in spigot mortar forgings, traverse gear castings, and mounting plate stampings. The rejected steel, remelted and reprocessed, represented quality control standards Germany couldn't afford. Germany allocated 30,857 pounds of steel daily across all U-boat construction. Liverpool's rejected components, material that failed to meet British specifications, equaled 4% of Germany's entire daily allocation. Britain's quality control waste exceeded what Germany could allocate to building submarines. The cafeteria comparisons revealed societal differences. HMS Osprey's cafeteria fed 3,170 workers 3 meals daily. Average caloric intake, 3,200 calories per worker per day. Total daily calories, 10,144,000. German U-boat crews received 2,400 calories daily on patrol, reduced to 1,800 calories during extended operations. With 237 operational U-boats averaging 44 crew each, total daily calories for the entire U-boat fleet, 24,912,000 at full rations. HMS Osprey's single cafeteria provided 40.7% of the calories fed to Germany's entire submarine force. Cafeteria waste exceeded U-boat rations. Daily meat waste at HMS Osprey, 340 pounds, representing overproduction, spoilage, and plate waste. U-boat fleet daily meat allocation, 1,090 pounds. Cafeteria waste equaled 31.2% of what Germany allocated to its entire submarine force. Workers at 1 British facility threw away nearly 1/3 of what German submariners received to fight a war. Electrical component waste demonstrated technological abundance. Daily electrical wire waste from Hedgehog firing circuit production, 3,950 feet of specialized cable rejected for insulation defects or conductor irregularities. A Type VIIC U-boat contained 12,400 feet of electrical wiring for all systems. Liverpool's daily cable waste could rewire 31.9% of 1 submarine. Monthly cable waste, 118,500 feet, enough to completely rewire 9.6 U-boats. Germany completed 17 U-boats monthly. British electrical waste could rewire 56.5% of Germany's monthly submarine production. Explosive waste revealed quality control standards that Germany couldn't match. Hedgehog projectile production rejected 3,840 projectiles daily for failures in explosive charge density, fuse sensitivity tolerance, contact detonator alignment, or ballistic weight variance. Each rejected projectile contained 35 pounds of Torpex that was carefully removed, reprocessed, and reformulated. Daily Torpex reclamation, 134,400 pounds. Germany produced approximately 292,000 pounds of Torpex daily across all facilities for all applications: torpedoes, aerial bombs, artillery shells, and naval mines. British Hedgehog quality control waste alone equaled 46% of Germany's total daily Torpex production. Britain threw away nearly half of what Germany could produce. By August 1943, Allied Hedgehog deployment reached saturation. The Royal Navy equipped 538 escorts. The United States Navy equipped 217 destroyer escorts under Lend-Lease Hedgehog systems. Royal Canadian Navy equipped 89 corvettes. Combined Allied deployment, 844 Hedgehog-equipped vessels. Germany operated 198 U-boats in August 1943, having lost 39 in May-July. The Allies deployed 4.26 Hedgehog escorts for every operational U-boat. The mathematics had shifted beyond recovery. Every U-boat faced multiple escorts equipped with weapons that could kill submarines in 13-16 seconds from initial contact. Production continued accelerating despite tactical victory. Liverpool's facility maintained 2,847 monthly production through December 1943. American facilities increased output. New York Navy Yard reached 840 monthly, Philadelphia Naval Shipyard 673 monthly, Mare Island 512 monthly. Combined Allied production, 4,872 Hedgehog systems monthly by December 1943. Germany's U-boat construction peaked at 27 submarines monthly in November 1943. Allied anti-submarine weapons production exceeded German submarine production by 180. 1. For every U-boat Germany built, the Allies deployed 180 new anti-submarine weapon systems. The human cost accumulated relentlessly. Between April and December 1943, Germany lost 237 U-boats in the Atlantic. Average crew, 44 submariners. Total casualties, 10,428 German submariners killed. Most died in 13-20 seconds as Hedgehog projectiles breached pressure hulls before U-boats could reach safety depth. Survival rate, 4.7%. Of 10,428 submariners aboard destroyed U-boats, 490 survived. The Hedgehog's contact detonation mechanism left no wounded, only dead or survivors. Submarines either survived intact or imploded instantly. The weapon's efficiency was absolute. British casualties in the same period from U-boat attacks: 1,247 merchant seamen on 34 ships sunk. Kill ratio reversed completely, 8:36, 1 in favor of the Allies. For every Allied sailor killed, 8.36 German submariners died. In January 1943, the ratio stood at 1:5:4, favoring Germany. The mathematical reversal marked civilization's triumph through industrial capacity. Free workers building weapons faster than totalitarian systems could build targets. Hoffman completed his analysis in September 1943. His report, written on British paper with British pencils in a British POW camp library, documented Germany's industrial inadequacy with devastating precision. We lost the Battle of the Atlantic in Liverpool, not at sea. British factories defeated German courage. American production capacity overwhelmed German tactical excellence. We trained the finest submariners in the world. They died in seconds because Britain built more weapons in one factory than we built submarines in 5 shipyards. The mathematics were inexorable. Production capacity determined survival. We couldn't produce submarines faster than they could produce submarine killers. Industrial abundance buried military prowess under sheer overwhelming quantity, transformed into quality through technological innovation. The report reached German high command through Swedish diplomatic channels. Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel read Hoffman's statistics and understood the broader implication. Germany faced the same industrial disadvantage on every front. Soviet factories beyond Ural Mountains outproduced German panzer plants. American bomber production exceeded Luftwaffe fighter production. British radar manufacturing dwarfed German countermeasure development. The pattern repeated everywhere. Germany's tactical excellence met Allied industrial avalanche. Quality faced quantity at scales where quantity became its own quality. By war's end, Allied factories had produced 12,847 Hedgehog systems. Germany built 1,163 U-boats total across all types during the entire war. Allied anti-submarine weapons production exceeded German submarine production by 11:1. Each system carried 24 spigots, total launch capacity, 308,328 projectiles. Germany's 1,163 U-boats carried average 14 torpedoes each, total capacity, 16,282 torpedoes. Allied Hedgehog launch capacity exceeded German U-boat offensive capacity by 18.9.1. The numbers told the story completely. Democracies at war mobilized industrial capacity that totalitarian regimes couldn't match regardless of military fanaticism or tactical innovation. The final statistics were compiled by naval historians in 1947. Total Battle of the Atlantic casualties: 783 U-boats sunk, 28,000 German submariners killed, 2,779 Allied merchant ships lost, 36,200 Allied merchant seamen killed. Germany sank 3.5 ships per U-boat lost. The exchange rate represented catastrophic defeat. Replacing a sunk merchant ship required 4–6 months of shipyard time. Replacing a sunk U-boat required 8–12 months of construction and training. Allied shipyards launched replacement tonnage faster than U-boats could sink it. German shipyards couldn't replace submarines faster than escorts could destroy them. The mathematics of industrial warfare favored the side that could absorb losses and maintain production tempo indefinitely. The Hedgehog remained in service through 1965, equipping destroyers and frigates across NATO navies. Total production exceeded 15,000 systems. The weapon that ended the U-boat threat became obsolete only when submarines themselves evolved beyond diesel-electric designs into nuclear-powered vessels operating at depths Hedgehog couldn't reach. For 22 years, the forward-throwing mortar manufactured in Liverpool at 94.9 units daily dominated anti-submarine warfare through simple mechanical efficiency. Launch ahead, maintain contact, detonate on impact, kill in seconds. Oberleutnant Karl Hoffmann survived the war and returned to Germany in 1947. He became an economics professor at Heidelberg University, teaching industrial production management. His lectures included case studies comparing Allied and German wartime manufacturing. His conclusion never varied. Free peoples mobilized industrial capacity that authoritarian systems couldn't replicate. Democratic production defeated totalitarian precision. The mathematics were absolute. We lost because they built more weapons faster than we could build weapons to counter them. Industrial abundance became the ultimate military advantage. Those who forget this lesson condemn themselves to relearn it through defeat. The Liverpool facility converted to peacetime manufacturing in 1946, producing agricultural equipment and industrial machinery. The assembly lines that produced 94.9 Hedgehog systems daily shifted to tractors and factory automation. Margaret Collins continued welding, now joining plow assemblies instead of spigot mortars. James Washington returned to Detroit, working at Ford Motor Company. The industrial capacity that crushed U-boats rebuilt peacetime prosperity through the same systematic production methods that won the war: organization, efficiency, motivated workers, and democratic cooperation that totalitarian systems could never match. The mathematics remained unchanged. Free societies outproduce enslaved societies. The Battle of the Atlantic proved it. History remembers. The lesson remains: dismissing democratic nations as weak because they prefer peace or underestimating free people's productive capacity invites catastrophic miscalculation. Authoritarian regimes may achieve tactical excellence and inspire fanatical devotion, but they cannot match the industrial output of free societies that mobilize their full economic potential. Totalitarian command structures cannot replicate the innovation that emerges from workers motivated by purpose rather than coercion. The mathematics of democratic production bury the mathematics of military precision under simple, overwhelming abundance. History's pattern repeats. Those who mistake democratic reluctance for democratic inability discover the difference when factories that produced automobiles and tractors begin producing weapons at rates that transform quantity into its own quality, when industrial capacity becomes the ultimate military advantage, and when the cost of miscalculation gets paid in catastrophic defeat, measured not in territory lost, but in existential systems destroyed by simple, sustained, productive superiority.